overall, yeah. Made day 2. Was going into my last round on day 1. 7-1. Yeah, 7-1. Unfortunately, pretty much I think if any of the losses would have been a draw, might have had a chance of making top 64, but yeah, there we are. Although the 2 losses that I did have on day 1 were all because of bricking, which, as you can probably guess by the play mat of the deck that I was playing, is kind of inherent of the actual deck itself, I guess. So yeah, but getting into it is real standard basically. 3 Rabina, 3 Eaglin, 1 Token, 1 Stree. Wouldn't change it. Absolutely perfect ratios, I think. Did debate maybe possibly running one of these 2 at another one, but in terms of spaces and utility for the day, I didn't think people were going to be preparing too much of the deck, or I'd see it too much. So yeah, that kind of like standard was like nice and fine.
That's fair enough.
In terms of the big boys, 2 M-Pen, 1 Riser, 1 Apex Avian. Again, pretty self-explanatory in that, real standard. Wouldn't have added anything more. I saw some people talking about the utility of like putting in snout, but yeah, I just never felt like I needed it. The Dreaming Town book as well was too much for a lot of people to get over anyway. So yeah, I didn't really feel that was needed. So yeah, I mean that was pretty standard for the flu.
That's fair.
And then like flu utility. The 1 Explored Winds, 1 Dreaming Town, 3 Advent, the 3 map. Again, really standard. The Unexplored Winds for me was absolutely broken. Again, another card I thought about playing 2 of. There's a few cards in here I thought about from running 1 or 2. But in terms of like for consistency and stuff like that, I don't think I could have fit it in possibly, or maybe at another time, a bit more testing. But otherwise, not really the one. But this was absolutely broken. The amount of times I had to explain to people, even though it was at a YCS and that, the tribute in your opponent's cards isn't once per turn.
What?
Was quite funny. So I enjoyed putting that off. Like once you got yourself flowing with your mid combo and that, just being able to remove problem cards was quite wonderful. And I mean, the Dreaming Town as well was fantastic. I actually saw it in my opening hand quite a few times. So being able to like go first, seeing this in hand with then combo, and then being able to have both ready for your opponent's turn was nice. Obviously, with it being a one-off, that was probably just a bit of sacky luck, but yeah, it pulled out quite well. Of course, with a deck that bricks, you want to be able to unbrick it. Never thought about running the Extrav, mainly just because honestly that's the first thing you activate in your hand. If you see it off of either of these, you can't do it. So I wouldn't have changed any of my pot ratios at all. A couple of one of my games rounds that I lost, it was just because I basically didn't see any of these to sort of give my hand any refresh, and seeing like activating duality and seeing duality Ash wasn't great. But yeah, it doesn't really give you too much there. But apart from that, the actual usage of those is obviously speaks for itself. They're fantastic. Utility cards getting into, and 2 Book of Moon, 2 Triple Tactics Thrust, which I managed to pick up just before the event on the Friday, the day before, which kind of did alter what the build I was going to be doing.
Shout out to Sleepy Dragon Gaming.
100%, yeah. Real big save on these, and they did actually come in real handy throughout the tournament. Just being able to add some of the other cards of that show, which is why as also I ran these as a one-off, because having this, especially in this format, your opponent is nearly always guaranteed to activate some kind of monster effect, even in whether you're going first, especially if you're going second. But it allowed us to do that. Around the run talent, I mean, who doesn't like drawing 2? So again, in terms of unbricking, or being able to bait something with a couple of cards and then being able to still get the draw two back was
You get
obviously
the knowledge of what they're playing when they hand trap you.
yeah. So I did actually use this once to just rip a card out of the hand, and it was pretty much GG's, like pretty much just nearly instant scoop because took out an engine card. They didn't draw anything to extend their engine. That's game.
I mean, I suppose if you've done also with tactics as well, like if you've seen that, say, off the pros, since doesn't pros stop you from drawing as well?
Yeah.
So then you've got the option that you can just do another effect of like steal something or just rip a card out the hand and give them a -1 on the next turn.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I wouldn't really, seeing it off pros or something like that, I probably wouldn't really take it. I'd be hoping because I mean, in this deck, the extra deck is pretty much null void. I'm always going to try and dig for 6 cards unless there's some sort of random situation where I'm not able to. I'm always looking to dig for 6, and hopefully one of the other 5 other cards are probably going to be better to draw from that. But yeah, the 1 Feather Storm, the 1 Evenly, and the 1 Feather Duster. Again, just being able to search these with Thrust was fantastic.
You can search Duster off of Storm too as well.
Yeah, that never the get Duster of Storm never came up for me. But however, once this was in play, I saw it in my hand a couple of times as well. Going first, you kind of just got to be like, yeah, I've got lucky there. Yeah. But it was great, and being able to recycle the Storm with Riser was mad. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, because Riser can put anything from the grave back onto the deck.
Yeah, I think I used this.
Dirty.
I used this for 3 turns in a row off 1 card, just by being able to bounce and recycle, because bouncing the Riser back and the graveyard card and then continuing on from there, it was just Evenly was, I really didn't hate, because my build beforehand without the thrusts and that, I didn't have the Feather Storm in. I did run the 3 Evenly, but I was kind of hoping, with the way the format was going, breaking a board with like Dark Rulers, for example, they're in the side, wasn't really necessary, hence why they aren't actually in the main. And I never ever missed them. I thought it was going to be a big risk, but I never actually missed not maining the Dark Rulers, so having them inside was just in case I did come up against Sprite. And in the game that I did, I managed to still win game 1 anyway, and then still put them in for then game 2 and won game 2. So I was happy about that.
Nice.
Side. And then hand trap wise, had to run 3 Ash and 3 Imperm. Again, with the way the format was going, it kind of had to be a must. Some of the decks you just stop dead in their tracks if you with these 2 in hand. Yeah. And Branded was one of the matchups I was actually probably less confident with, I think, going into it. And Branded was one of my round losses. However, that wasn't because of anything I did play-wise. That was because of complete bricking in my hand, which the deck can do sometimes. And that was probably my worst round of the game. I remember coming back to the group we were with afterwards, just being like, it wasn't any. I wasn't too disappointed because it wasn't anything I did bad play-wise. It was just I opened my hand, and I think in the 2 hands that I opened, all I could have done was normal summon Street or normal summon Token. That was it.
I think that's essentially the risk when you're playing a tribute summon deck.
Yeah. So that was just like gone out the window for that.
Clive's done time. Tributes.
The extra deck, I'm pretty sure the extra deck is just utility cards. It completely null void. It was random stuff that I grabbed.
Yo, is that dual avatar in 2023?
Of course it is. Of course it is. We got all three. It was. I mean, I unfortunately wasn't able to get hold of the Lyrilisk. Nightingale, Reciting Starling. So otherwise, I would have been able to have the Down Magician and the Zeus play, but I couldn't get hold of one. So that was kind of like, it all basically just becomes prosperity food. But onto the side, I know people weren't maining it, but I didn't know, it was my first YCS, so I didn't know what decks I was going to come up against. Maybe some rogue ones, people were playing a little bit of random stuff. So playing the 3 shifter just because the deck can. I don't care about my deck. If they care about their grave and I see this, then it's GG's. In my round 1, I did side this in because I played some weird rock deck. I mean, I know we don't have block dragon and everything, so it was quite a surprise to me, but it was a really strange rock deck and that. And game 1 it took me by surprise a little bit. I still won the game 1, but I thought, game 2 I've got to sort myself out, get some shifters in, get the shifters in. And yeah, I saw it in my first hand, and that was basically it. 3 lightning storm. What can I say? Yeah, the deck at the end of the day, if I am going second, I've kind of got to think about like removing boards or breaking boards. Flow doesn't really do well with going against back row, so I was thinking if I come up against Labyrinth or something like that, this is going to be fantastic if I see it going second. So yeah, I had to pop that in there. Talking of back row hate, 2 cyclones. I'm aware as well that some of the back row cards being engraved can do a lot of damage to you as well. So just being, I'll happily pay a K to remove a bit of hassle for me later on down the board in any way. And then of course we spoke about it earlier, Dark Ruler. They may not be in the main, but they sure as hell had to be in the side. Is when someone spends all their resources making a big board. They set up a Baron and a few other things like that, and they're like negate this, negate that, and you just sort of go.
You punish them.
And seeing like Dark Ruler evenly was just like, okay, we're gonna have some fun. I don't really mind giving up the first battle phase because I felt like the deck could outgrind if I did Dark Ruler evenly. My deck will just outgrind them to whatever way sort of I wanted. And speaking of which, then the other 2 evenly. If I then guaranteed that I knew that I was going to go second, they went straight in to make it 3. And then lastly, again, then the 2 Feather Storms as well. Change I probably would have made. I mean, seeing this card, it was a very, very situational. It would be sort of if I was going into game, if I win game 1, lose game 2, go into game 3, they go in. Just making sure I see it in my hand, because at the end of the day, if I manage to get off combo, and then I do set this and just activate it, they just go, right, okay, pass down. I didn't see, when I did activate this, I'll be honest, I didn't see many people kind of skirt around it. It was just sort of like, that's the game over. But the whole event was fantastic. So I mean, shout out to Konami and the whole YCS thing that was there. It was actually fantastic. Shout out to Team Juicy, obviously. We got to have our boys there. But like, yeah, the whole event was fantastic. The whole weekend was really good. It was intense, but I'd definitely do it again. But anyway, congrats, Hesham.